Today, we're diving into the life of a woman who stood right at the epicenter of the ancient world's intellectual capital, a philosopher, a scientist who dared to teach reason in an age when fanaticism was on the rise.
Okay, so picture this, an era where women were, for the most part, completely shut out of public and intellectual life. And yet, one figure rose up to lead a major school of philosophy, attracting students from all across the Roman Empire. So, who was she?
Her name was Hypatia, and her story, let me tell you, is one of extraordinary brilliance, profound influence, and, well, ultimately a shocking tragedy. To really understand Hypatia, we've got to go back to her home. We're talking about the legendary city of Alexandria. This place was an absolute crossroads of culture, a powerhouse of knowledge, but it was also a city teetering on the edge of monumental, chaotic change. She was born around 355 CE, and her start in life was anything but typical. You see, her father, Theon, was a famous mathematician connected to the legendary Library of Alexandria. So instead of being confined to the home, she was just completely immersed in a world of numbers, logic, the stars, the whole shebang. And she didn't just stay a student for long. She quickly emerged as a leading public intellectual in her own right. I mean, for a woman at that time, that was absolutely remarkable. Hypatia's rise to prominence was, well, it was meteoric. But it was all happening against this really intense backdrop of political and religious conflict that was brewing in the city. And that conflict, well, it was going to be what ultimately sealed her fate. Think about it. In just a few decades, she goes from this gifted young scholar to the head of the prestigious Neoplatonic school in Alexandria. Her lectures were famous, drawing in students from all kinds of backgrounds. But that level of influence and her association with the city's political leaders put a huge target on her back. Then, in 415 CE, she was brutally murdered by a mob. It was an act of violence so shocking it sent ripples throughout the ancient world. You know, her death wasn't just a murder. It became something much, much bigger. It's what transformed her legacy. She became this powerful symbol, a martyr for philosophy, for free thought, and for the courageous pursuit of knowledge in the face of violent intolerance. So we know her story is both tragic and inspiring. But that brings up a really key question. What were the ideas she was so passionate about? What did she actually teach that drew in so many followers? And this brings us to her intellectual contributions. Because you see, Hypatia wasn't just a philosopher. Oh no. She was also a brilliant mathematician and astronomer who left a serious mark on multiple fields of study. At the very heart of Hypatia's philosophy was something called Neoplatonism. And as a leader of this school, she taught that this wasn't just some abstract, dusty theory. It was a way of life. The whole goal was to use logic, reason, and virtue to connect with a higher, divine reality, basically elevating the soul through the pursuit of wisdom. But her contributions went way beyond philosophy. She was a hands-on scientist and mathematician, improving on the foundational works of Greek math, and even helping to develop crucial scientific instruments like the astrolabe for studying the stars. And maybe the most important thing she did? Just by existing, by being the head of a major school, she proved that intellectual authority and wisdom have absolutely nothing to do with gender. In a city that was being torn apart by religious and political factions, Hypatia championed a really radical idea. Her school became this rare space where Christians and pagans could learn together, side by side. Why? Because she believed knowledge shouldn't be a weapon. It should be a bridge that could unite people. So why are we talking about a philosopher from the 4th century, right? Well, it's because the challenges she faced and the principles she died for, they resonate so powerfully, even in our own time. Her legacy really leaves us with 4 powerful lessons. 1, seeking truth requires courage. 2, we have to defend rational inquiry because it's the engine of progress. 3, knowledge should be used to build bridges, not walls. And finally, number 4, education is the ultimate tool for liberation, and it has to be for everyone. Ultimately, Hypatia's story is so much more than just a historical account. She's a timeless symbol of intellectual courage and integrity. Her life is a powerful reminder for all of us to stay curious, to think critically, and to never, ever stop learning, no matter what obstacles you face. And that leaves us with a final thought to chew on. Hypatia tried to be a unifying force in a deeply fractured society. It's a challenge we still face today, right? So the question she kind of leaves hanging for us is this. In our own divided world, how can a single person act as a bridge?